Hi folks, I'm Richard Friedman and welcome to my political cartoon countdown for November 13th, 2021. Every week or two we get together and we do the political cartoon countdown based upon the impressions on Twitter, and I put it in numerical order and I shoot it out to you every week or two. And what I'd like to do is, before I get started, is tell you a little bit about myself. I was a math teacher for about 20 years or so, and I retired and got into doing as a hobby political cartoons, and I've written some books over the years, and I'm going to share that with you now before we get into the countdown. And if you want to see these books, you can either go there, like a trip to Disney World, free with no ticket needed, and just look through all my cartoons over the years, going back to 2018, or you could go there, look, and buy a book, and there's a link right up to Amazon, and what you got to do is push a few buttons, and they'll shoot it right out to you. And there's 5 books that I've written over the years. So here, what I always like to do is to kind of give you what was happening a year or 2 or 3 years ago on this date. So this is from my book. This is my last year, my 2020 book, which encompassed the whole entire year 2020. This year there are 2 editions, edition 1, edition 2 for 2021. Okay, so here you got, this was the 2020 book. And this is actually the same, hit it right on the money today. This is November 13th, 2020. This was right from there. Here we go. Just so you see here. There. Okay. November 13th, 2020. Now here we have Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham sitting at the table with then President Trump. And they're discussing what's going on here. Here's what they're discussing this. So I'm going to read it to you right quick here. Senior Republican Senators Lindsey Graham and Chuck Grassley meet with President Trump to present a White House replica. They will raise funds to build for him if he will give President-elect classified intelligence briefings. So they're saying here, well, in case you don't win the election, this is November, after the election, this was 2020, the election already took place, and you did not win. This is after the election, I see now. So we're going to build you a replica just to make you happy. We're going to build you a replica of the White House, and you could go there every day. You'll have an Oval Office, and you'll have everything just like you were in the White House. Be the same deal, And so they're talking to him about that. Okay, so they were worried about then President Trump tweeting going on tweeting about the election, that it was rigged and this and that, and they were trying to calm him down and to kind of just say to him, well, this is what we can do for you if you agree to stop this tweeting on the election fraud and all that business. So here is Lindsey Graham, okay. There's Lindsey right here at the table. There's a replica with the Trump, big sign of Trump in front of it, and that's a replica White House, a model of it that they were going to build for then President Trump. Okay, there. Okay, and then Lindsey says, Mr. President, you go on tweeting on voter fraud and refusing to accept election results. That's fine. But give Biden access to intelligence briefings. That was another thing. Oh, they said that was fine. Okay, that was fine with them. I overestimated them. They were fine with him tweeting about the election. Imagine. But anyway, they were concerned here about the intelligence briefings because that was a security issue for the United States. Okay, because if you don't, and we have another 9/11, we Republicans are going to be in a political shithouse. Because you can imagine if there was, God forbid, another horrible situation, attack on our country, and they could say the Democrats didn't have the intelligence briefings, you could say that this could have been prevented, and Republicans participated in blocking intelligence, which led to an attack on our country, the United States. That would be catastrophic, for them. So that's what they were concerned about at the time, because then President Trump wasn't handing over intelligence briefings to President-elect Biden at the time. So they offered to build him a replica of the White House for his own private enjoyment, So here is then President Trump responding to that offer. Here he is. And he's saying, it's a deal, but one thing, even if I have to fire the whole damn Department of Defense, CIA, and FBI, all you Republicans must stay dummy up, like Don Rickles used to say, dummies. So he wants them to stay dummy up about everything else. Just say dummy up. So you must stay dummy up. Don Rickles used to say, dummy up, dummy up. So that's what former President Trump is saying here. They have to stay dummy up to anything, that they hear or see or anything going on, okay? See, so he was still in the White House then, you see? And he's saying, even if I have to fire the CIA, and it would be President-elect Biden didn't take office till January 20th, you see? So he was still in power then, even though he had lost the election, until the transition of power. So that's this is what was building up. This was building up. You could argue that they were trying to head off what happened on January 6th. They were trying to head that off, You could make an argument, but it's not a good argument because they're the ones who basically they were kind of participants, indirect participants, they were leading Republicans, especially Chuck Grassley. He's been there I think he's been there about 50 years. He's in his 50th year. He's like he carries, and he's been there. So he was like, he's like part of the foundation of the Capitol. I mean, he was there, and Lindsey Graham, chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and these people they just went along, just got swept under it was like they were in the river. And just being swept along the stream, the Trump stream, and they were just floating down the stream, and this is now they're getting a little worried now with national security. Okay, so there it is. That didn't last too long, but anyway, that was a cartoon from then, November 13th, 2020. How far we've come, right? How far we've come in 1 year. We're still talking about the same thing, talking about a year ago, and it's still on the burner here. Okay. So this was the book, my 2020 book again. It has all kinds of, if you want to just like I say, it's there. It's on my website, Richard's Books, politicalcartoons.com. No apostrophe on the S, and you can get right. And you could there's a link to Amazon, just push a few buttons and they'll shoot it right out to you. So that was the 2020 book. There you go. And this is my current book, which is edition 1, January through June. Okay. And from June to December is in the works. The next book will be coming out in the early part of January for edition 2. And there's a cover. For this one, I drew the people and I drew the Capitol. I thought it would be an appropriate way to present this book. Okay. Here's Barr standing in front of the Justice Department, then Attorney General Barr, Trump's Attorney General, Barr in front of the Justice Department. Just give you a little. Ted Cruz, there's Ted Cruz. Okay. 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 Over the years, my artistic ability has grown a little bit. You know, it's a hell of a way to cultivate your art ability, but nevertheless true. Okay, this was my 2019 book. Yeah. If you remember the relationship that former President Trump had with Kim Jong-un at the time. Okay. Here's former President Trump in Japan. They gave him an award. And he's saying here, and he was trying to convince him. See, then President Trump was getting very friendly with the leader of North Korea, and so the Japanese people and the Prime Minister, the Japanese, were getting very nervous about that. So they invited President Trump there, and they gave him an award, and then so here's the Japanese Prime Minister at the time, and here he is giving then President Trump an award in Japan when he was visiting there, and he's saying, "Now, good time, me order siren for North Korea missile drill." You know, they have missile drills there because so the proximity to North Korea. So, and they're always testing missiles that bounce here and bounce there and then hit in the Sea of Japan. So they were doing tests. So they have siren, they have air drills. So he's saying thinking to himself as he gives then President Trump this your award. Now be a good time to have fire drill, North Korea missile drill. Good time for North Korea. Very good time for North Korea missile drill. You know. Okay, so that was this book here. And here, this was my this was part 2. Here's the leader of China here, talking on the phone with then President Trump. Okay, there's the book. This one I have the White House as the cover. Okay, and this was my first book, the greatest book of political cartoons on the Trump presidency with a flashback to the Democrat and Republican candidates of 2016. So here I included Democrats and Republicans, a chapter on Democrats and chapter on Republicans in the book. So we're running. I sometimes go over this. I don't want to repeat myself here. Okay, here is Chris Christie, Republican candidate, shooting down Marco Rubio, the other Republican candidate, and he's saying, Chris Christie's saying 2 things about Marco: he is scripted and overmanaged. He is the bar mitzvah boy in the bubble here. You know, he's the bar mitzvah. So, there you have that. There's Chris Christie. Okay. There's a flashback to Dick Cheney. And on the Democrats, I always like to do one Democrat. Let's see if I can come up with one. Oh, here's Hillary Clinton. Here's Hillary Clinton on enforcing drug anti-laws, enforcing drug laws. She's saying here, Hillary Clinton on enforcing federal anti-drug laws on states legalizing marijuana. I want to see how it works first, not too bad. So she wants to see how it works. She said she wanted to see how it works, so I gave her a joint there to see how it works. I know. Okay. Okay, this was my first book. Okay, now this is a cartoon I just finished up about maybe 20 minutes ago. So it's not on Twitter, so it's not included in the countdown, but I wanted to show it to you because it's very up to date. So here we have, this is Mitch McConnell here. There's Mitch. And here's former President Trump. And here's what he said. He said this about former President Trump after lashing out at Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, questioning in a statement why he called him an old crow. Old crow, Mitch McConnell voted for a terrible Democrat socialist infrastructure plan. So former President Trump is very upset that Republicans went along, and because without the Republicans, a lot of progressives wouldn't sign the thing. So they have no part of it because they didn't get what they wanted. So they went home mad, you know, and whatever they did. And so the Republicans, I think maybe 13 Republicans or so, went ahead and took their place, and they voted for it. Now they took their place, but they decided to vote for it, and it passed because without those 13 Republicans, it never would have passed. So it was bipartisan here, okay? Okay, so here we have, now watching McConnell, and now here he is, former President Trump, and he's watching McConnell on television. This was on TV just a day or two ago, maybe yesterday. And he's watching, and here is what's happening. Now, watching McConnell being asked whether he will be attending a White House signing ceremony for the bipartisan infrastructure deal that he voted for. This is happening on Monday. This Monday, okay? There's going to be a signing event at the White House, and they're going to have a function, a ceremony for the signing of this bipartisan infrastructure bill. And President Biden will preside over there, and he'll be signing, and everybody maybe here's another pen, here's another pen, here's another pen. You know how they do that, everybody. So anyway, so here is Mitch McConnell. Here's what he said to that question, because Mitch said he ain't going. He says he's not going there. No way. He don't want to take no more flack than he's already taken from President Trump, which he's taken enough of that heat, So here he's saying this. I've got other things to do than go to the signing ceremony. He's got other things to do. It's Mitch. And here is former President watching this, and keep in mind that he called him, Trump called him, Mitch alluded to him as an old crow. The old crow, Mitch McConnell, voted for a terrible Democrat socialist infrastructure plan. He's an old crow. That's his new name, Old Crow. I knew he was going to come up with a name from McConnell. It was just a matter of time. I knew it was going to happen, and there it is, Old Crow. So here it is now. And here is former President Trump responding to that. I've got other things to do too, like hanging Old Crow here in the Senate galley. So he's going to put up a picture of a portrait of McConnell as an old crow. So here he is here's McConnell, Trump's version of McConnell as an old crow, Here he is as an old crow, hanging in the Senate gallery. Senator Mitch McConnell. Okay. Hanging there is Okay, Mitch McConnell saying what he said. Former President Trump watching it all. His response. He's got things to do like hanging this up there. And there it is. Mitch as an old crow. Hung in the Senate gallery. Okay. All right, let's get started on the countdown now. Let's see if we got here 4. So this will be the top 4 of the week. Starting out here with numero cuatro, number 4. Here we have Bannon. Now, this cartoon, you know, you gotta stay right on top of these things. That's when you do cartoons, you gotta stay on what's going on minute by minute. You know, you do something, you think it's a masterpiece, and boom, 2 seconds later, you see it on TV, and it's totally wrong and it's worthless. So I had to change the wording to this song. Those of you who are in my age group, or maybe not that old, you know, we remember the Rolling Stones. Everybody remember the Rolling Stones, you know. I can't get no satisfaction. Remember the Rolling Stones? Remember the Ed Sullivan Show. I don't know too many of you are old enough for that, but I remember seeing the Rolling Stones on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they were very popular. They were like one notch below the Beatles. You could argue they were just as popular at one point, even so they were. The Rolling Stones were also from England, an English group. So Mick Jagger, you know, I don't know, I remember. So there is. So here, what I had to do is what's happened now is that Merrick Garland has put the weight of the Justice Department behind an indictment on Bannon now. It's forcing Bannon to make a decision on what he's going to do, whether he's going to perhaps spend some time in the cooler or not testify. So they're putting pressure on him. I don't know if he'll go to, but the thing is that this is a continual process, because he's going to appeal, and he'll appeal to another court, and eventually he'll go to the Supreme Court. And by the time that happens, this thing could be over with. The Republicans could take over the House, and this thing goes down the drain, you know. Goes down the drain like a tiny particle of soap, all gone down, washed out, whitewash, goes right down the drain, because it takes time. We want one court to appeal up to the Supreme Court, and there you got it. So and President Trump is going to follow the same path. Everything will have to rise to the Supreme Court, because then, you know, that's the strategy, is to wait out the clock. And when the clock is ticking, they know that. They don't know, but they surmise. A lot of these pundits, a lot of these experts say that the Republicans have a good chance of taking over the House and perhaps even the Senate. It's so close. So once that happens, it's a new ball game, and this select committee is no more. So what I had to do, I had changed the wording to the song, because Merrick Garland was delaying. I couldn't understand why he was taking so long. It's like a slam dunk thing, you know, seemed like. So I took out, Merrick Garland's Justice Department is now forging ahead along with everybody else. But again, the wheels of justice swing very slow. The wheels go very slow up to the Supreme Court, you know. So anyway, so I changed it. This is the first. It was on Twitter, and now it's a different one that was on Twitter, in case you saw this on Twitter. Okay, Steve Bannon, former President Trump advisor, referred to Justice Department for contempt of Congress for his refusal to give sworn testimony before the Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot. Watching AG Merrick Garland appearing not to be in any hurry to bring forth a decision, that was at the time, on the contempt charge against him. Amid reportedly Bannon told Trump to focus on January 6th, and that was the, quote, the moment of reckoning. Okay, that was the least of what he said. Given the clock on the House, January 6th probe will run out in 2022 if Republicans regain House control. Here now, Bannon's adaptation to the Rolling Stones 64 hit, Time is on my side. Yes, it is. Okay, so here goes Mick Jagger here. You know, I ain't no Mick Jagger, so I'm just going to sing it out to you the best I can. Okay, And here is Bannon, is Steve Bannon, watching this, and he's watching the news about what's happening, following the progress of what's going on here. Steve Bannon was right on top there at the beginning of this, beginning of former President Trump's presidency. He was like a #1 advisor. Even Time had him on the. He was on the cover of Time as the most one of the most, second to Trump, the most powerful man in the country, second to Trump. You know, I don't think President Trump liked that too much, but anyway, he didn't last too long in that role. Okay, so there's Bannon. Here is. I ain't no Mick Jagger, but here it goes. Time. This is the modified version. Just released first time. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. The Select Committee always says they don't want me to be free. But you just wait and see. When I appeal to the Supreme Court, the Dems will be out of time to get me. Like I said, baby, so many times before, yeah, after my Trump pardon, they'll never get me behind a jail door. And that's because time is on my side. Yes, it is. So there we have, here we go. Here it is. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. Time is on my side. And it is. Time is on his side. There he is. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. There he goes. Okay, now here, this is an interesting one. It's also very recent, very up to date. Here we have former president on the football field with his football team, the Trump 24s, and they're up against here the Select Com team, which is abbreviated for Select Committee. Okay, so here he is, the football game, and he's got the football there. You can see the football. He's holding. He's going to run through. He's trying to he's going to run through the scrimmage line, and this is in response. This cartoon was sparked in response to a judge who had said this. Okay, this was a federal judge. Okay, former President Trump playing with his football team, the Trump 24s, against the Select Committee team, short for Select Committee. The Select Com team, short for Select Committee, now investigating the January 6th Capitol riot, that depicts the federal judge who ruled against the former president, saying Trump cannot, quote, do an end run around her decisions to try to win his case, and stop documents from his presidency being given to the House Select Committee on January 6th. So an end run in football is what happens when you see somebody with the ball and he tries to run around the scrimmage line when they'll line up opposing teams, and he's going to try to run around the side there. You know, it's like when you're in a traffic jam. Ever get into a traffic jam and you see some cars, they go out on the shoulder and they go on the grass to get over to make time to get ahead of the other cars. Well, that's what it is. That's what that is basically when you say that he's running around. Okay, so that's basically what it is. What she's saying here is that an end run is basically you're doing a run around the end of the line. It's the end of the line that you're running around, okay? So you have the line, they're all lined up. As I said, just like a whole bunch of cars, not a bunch of cars, but every one or two cars in a traffic jam, they go on the shoulder, they go on the grass. That's what an end run is. They're going around the main play. They're running, like trying to sneak by, okay, to get ahead without getting tackled. Here, it's not getting, the idea is not to get tackled and run with the ball to the goal line, okay? Now here is what happens, okay? Now here, from his presidency being given to the House Select Committee. And here is Trump, former President Trump now, confronting somebody from a player from the opposing team, the Select Com, okay? There he is. He's talking. See that? He's talking. There he is. There, you see, he's talking to this guy in the green uniform, wearing this, who's from the Select Com team, who's trying to tackle him. He's trying to tackle him with the ball and prevent Trump from running through. But what Trump is doing here, he's not choosing to do an end run. He's going down the center. You see, he's going to run down the center. You see, and he's got his defensive line here, linemen, who are Trump 24 players. They got their uniforms, and they're going to block this guy from tackling former President Trump. Okay, the Select Committee player from tackling. Okay, with the ball. Okay. There's the action there. There he goes. And he's waving by. And here's that. And the Select Committee's trying to tackle him. And here comes the Trump 24 players trying to get to him, to tackle him before he gets to Trump. To tackle Trump. Right? So Trump runs with the ball and he makes a touchdown. And he gets to keep his documents. Okay, so here it goes, and here is former President Trump is what he's saying to the Select Committee opposing player. Okay, he's saying this: your Select Com team is a sham, and my Trump 24 team here will defend me. I'm going down the center. No end runs for me. No end runs. On January 6th, my team even tried to block the fraudulent election. It's just common sense. Bye. So this is bye to this guy here because he's being tackled by these two Trump 24 players. So he's waving goodbye because he's about to be tackled. This guy here is coming in to tackle him, and he's going to tackle the Select Committee guy, and Trump's going to run right down the center. No end run. He's going right down the center, and he's waving with his hand, bye, and that's it. There's a football. There's former President running with the ball down the center. No end run, which is what the judge said he didn't want him to do an end run around her ruling to try to stall. So he's going down the center. There it is. That was a cartoon. Okay, he's waving to this Select Committee player, bye, because he's, as I said, he's being tackled by these two players. Okay, and there he goes. There goes former President Trump. He's going to make his way through down to the goal line. Keep those documents. Executive privilege. Okay, now we have numero tres, number 3. Now, this is number 2. This is number 2. Numero dos, number 2. Okay, here we have Chris Christie. Here. And here we have Don Corleone. This is a card. This was when I did on The Godfather. Okay, a spoof on The Godfather. Marlon Brando. You see, this is supposed to be Marlon Brando in The Godfather. Here. There's Chris Christie, and here's the funeral director. If you saw, I'm sure you all remember The Godfather in the funeral scene, where the Godfather says, "Look how they massacred my boy. Look how they massacred my boy," and he's singing all the thing here, and that's what this is here. Look how they massacred my boy. You see, he's saying, okay, and there's the Godfather. And there he is. Here's Chris Christie. So here's what's going on here. Former President Trump slams ex-New Jersey Governor Chris Christie for calling on Republicans to stop wasting time talking about the 2020 election at the Republican Jewish Coalition's annual leadership meeting in Las Vegas, Texas. So Chris Christie, now, it's very possible that Chris Christie wants to take another shot at the presidency, and he's willing to go against Trump for that reason, because that's what he could be trying to do here, and he's saying it's time we all stop talking about this. But Chris Christie really doesn't believe that he's going to get anywhere. He couldn't possibly believe that, because these people who believe this, they're locked into this view, and it's not a question of Chris Christie would have to be thinking he's talking to a PTA meeting, like going to a PTA and saying we got to move behind the bake sale. We got to move behind the this or that. This ain't no PTA meeting that Chris Christie is talking to. These are hardcore Republicans supporting Trump. You see, so you ain't going to change their mind. You ain't going. That's why you have to pass laws to protect voting rights, because you're not going to change anybody's mind. You're not going to change nobody's mind. You're not. It's just not in the cards. We've seen that. You have to legislate the laws to protect the country, to protect the democracy. That's the only way. You know, there's no PTA meeting where you change somebody's mind and you say we got to go move ahead and we got to focus on the future. They don't want to hear no part of that. You know, they have the future in their own mind, what the future is going to be. So I know I experienced talking to a lot of these people, and they're very, you know, people, you know, who are you know, close to my family, you know, and everything like that, and they're hardcore. I say let's eat now, and we'll talk about this another time, you know, because you ain't going to change nobody's mind. You ain't going. It ain't going to happen. So you have to. That's why the laws are so important. And democracy. Once you lose democracy, you can't get it back. It don't work that way. You know, once it's down the tubes, it's it. So you got the only way to do that is passing laws that restore the rights of people to vote. You know, if somebody's worried about giving somebody a glass of water who's waiting online to vote and getting arrested, you don't have much of a democracy anymore. Really, you don't. Okay, so anyway, here it goes. Everybody remembers how Christie left office, and so Trump goes back, attacks Christie now for saying that we should move ahead. This is Trump. Everybody remembers how Christie left office in 2018 with a record low approval rating. Okay, and he was just absolutely massacred by these Republican people. Trump is going in the opposite, really, the opposite, saying that Chris Christie got massacred. This thing, he didn't, you know, he was massacred by the crowd, by his statements, his wishful thinking, maybe. Below, Trump's massacre exaggeration in a spoof from The Godfather. So I took the massacre and I put it injected into Don Corleone, from The Godfather, you know, played by Marlon Brando here. Okay, so here's number one. So here he's saying here, look how they massacred my boy. Look how they massacred my boy. And there he is. And Chris Christie opens his eyes and he turns around to his pop. And there's a pizza. There's a pizza, meatball pizza, 3-cheese meatball pizza that he's about to massacre himself. And there he is, and he's waving so he's saying this. He puts up his hand and he says 3. You see, it's 3 up there. He's putting up 3 for the 3-cheese pizza. It's a 3-cheese pizza that he's got there, a 3-cheese meatball pizza that he's gonna massacre in about a minute. You see, so here he is, putting up 3 fingers for a 3-cheese, triple cheese meatball pizza that he's going to have now. And he's woken up inside the outside the coffin there, and he's out there. They're waiting to bury him. He woke up with his eyes wide open. And there's his pizza that he ordered, you know. So anyway, so here we go. Look how they massacred my boy. Pop. And here he goes like this. And here he goes. There goes Chris Christie. And he's saying, Pop, tonight I'll be eating this 3-cheese meatball pizza with a mix of mozzarella, provolone, and Parmesan cheeses, and loaded with beef meatballs. Okay. So Don Corleone sees that, and then here is the Undertaker in that movie, you know. Remember, he asked him for one more favor. You know, he says, I need a favor from you, but that day may never come. Well, the day came, this is the day the favor came, you know, and this is the Undertaker, okay? If you remember the movie, he had gone to Don Corleone's wedding because to ask a favor. Of course, his daughter was brutally molested by some bad people, and he wanted to straighten it out, and he couldn't. And they gave him a suspended sentence. Suspended sentence they gave for my daughter. So remember that part of the movie. So then Don Corleone kept his card, and he called him when this happened to Sonny on that Long Beach Bridge. You know, when the things went down and boom, boom, boom. But anyway, I just remember, But funny thing about that movie, they were filming that movie right near where I lived, back in the Bronx, and I met the director of that, Francis Ford Coppola. I was speaking to him for about a half an hour, and had all these old cars from the 40s lined up on the street, and I was talking to him about the movie, and I had read the book. At the time I was just finishing up the book, so I was telling her I was looking forward to seeing the movie, and so I remember that movie very well from that experience of meeting Francis. I spoke to him about a half an hour. He was just like anybody else who was standing around directing people, and he had nothing to do for a few minutes, and he spoke to me. So it was interesting. That was on Gun Hill Road, when they shot the Louis Bar and Grill was right near Gun Hill Road, White Plains Road. I think it was White Plains Road and Gun Hill Road. Yeah, I think so. Oh, I know it was White Plains Road. That's for sure. Underneath the L there. It was a White Plains Road underneath the L, and it was Louis Bar and Louis Restaurant, Louis Italian Restaurant, and that's where they shot that scene, where Michael takes out the police chief and Salazzo Jr. So for hitting the Godfather, shooting the Godfather. So anyway, I just I remember it well, So here is that undertaking. What he says to Don Corleone: "What do you want me to do, Godfather?" He goes to him, "What do you want me to do, Godfather?" So I leave that to your imagination. That's to your imagination. Okay. Here is number uno de la semana, number one of the week. We have a very angry former President Trump here, his face turning red, and he's holding up his Trump ice. I think that's off the market for some time now, but this is in for the cartoon area with Trump ice. And he's holding up, and he's mad. He's very mad at what happened here. Former President Donald Trump watching the House pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Again, going back to that bill, very mad about the bill. Late Friday night, raging out at Republican lawmakers in both House and Senate who voted for the bill, characterizing the bill as the non-infrastructure bill, objecting that the bulk of the money in the bill is not going into needed infrastructure. So they're putting money into the water supply, to new pipes and pumps and all that kind of thing to get the water better, purify better quality water. Pumps, pipes, and all the paraphernalia that goes into a water system. That's all going to be, upgraded under the budget here of this bill. Okay, an objection from former President Trump. He did not publicly say on wasteful spending in the bill. So he's saying something here he didn't say, but this is something he could have said based upon what his premise is, that the whole thing is a waste. So here he is holding up a bottle of Trump ice as an alternative for fixing the water supply. Everybody in the country could be supplied with water for what this is going to cost from this Trump ice. So here it is, Trump ice. We could get everybody supplied with bottled water from his company, if the government bought bottled water and handed it out to everybody. It would save money, because it's going to cost a lot more money now than even then it would cost. So there it is. Okay, and he's saying, they did not need to waste so much money on new pipes for clean drinking water. For clean water, they could have bought enough of my bottled Trump ice water here from naturally clean springs. So his water advertised clean springs, I think. Clean springs. Okay, that's what I think that's what it said on the bottled water, spring water, clean springs. Okay, it would have been a fantastic deal for the American people. I'm going to say, would have been a fantastic deal for the American people. Okay, Trump ice. Okay. All right, folks. Well, we've come to the end of another political cartoon countdown. I want to thank you very much for watching my video here, and I wish you all a good week. And God bless you, and God bless America.